So in order to move forward with learning about using order of operations this way, we need to have a little bit of an aside about Excel, because we're going to start using a spreadsheet, specifically in these videos, Excel, to calculate expressions in one step. What I want to do with this is to briefly introduce Excel, because in the introduction I said you don't need to know any Excel in order to do this math course, and it's true, but you do need to learn Excel in the course of doing this math course in order to learn everything that we're learning here. So what Excel is a spreadsheet app. It formats and organizes numbers and data so that we can make calculations, make graphs, and perform analysis. A spreadsheet looks like a grid. You can see a corner of a spreadsheet here in figure 3. It is designed to store numbers efficiently, to make calculations efficient, to make application of formulas efficient. The cells in a spreadsheet, cells are these rectangles that you see in figure 3. They are addressed by row number and column letter. So each cell in a spreadsheet has a unique address. The column letters are across the top, and the row numbers are along the side. As you can see, the cell that we're looking at is cell B4 because it's in column B in row 4. By the way, you can use any spreadsheet program for this. I'm just going to be using Excel. So before we move on with the next set of examples, I'm going to open up Excel and just show you a couple basic calculations so that you get a feel for how Excel works and what it does. This is Excel. The spreadsheet holds the cells. You can click into an individual cell in order to input a number. Like I can type 344 into cell C3 and get 344 into that cell. If I click on it, again, you see that the cell is highlighted by showing this green outline, and that the number 344 also appears up in this area, which is called the formula bar. So you can type input there as well. If you highlight a cell down here by clicking, so I've now clicked onto or into cell E3, I can just type directly into the formula bar, 54, something like that. In order to do a calculation in Excel, the expression you type in has to start with an equal sign. You can either type your expressions into the cells themselves or into the formula bar. So I'm going to type equal sign up here, and I'm going to add 3 plus 7. We know that's 10, right? So now I'm going to hit enter, and Excel has calculated, yes, that's 10. And if we look by clicking onto C3 again, we see that the calculation actually has been preserved here. So the 3 plus 7 is preserved. Once we hit enter, the spreadsheet shows 10. There's a few things when we talk about Excel and we talk about multiplication. The multiplication operator in Excel is the asterisk. So 2 times 7 equals 14. And another thing is things like the square root that we're used to seeing in mathematical formulas does not exist in Excel. If you want to take the square root of something, you have to use something called a function. The function is called square root. It's SQRT. Okay, so what do I mean? In Excel, when you want to do a calculation, you start with the equal sign. So I'm going to hit equal sign. If I want to take the square root of something, I'm going to type SQRT. And you see Excel is helping me with a drop-down menu that's saying, hey, I know some functions that contain SQRT. Is it one of these that you want? And yes, indeed, I want SQRT. I don't have to pick from this list since I've typed out the whole thing. Final wrinkle is it doesn't have to be all capitalized. So in Excel, when you want to feed a number into a function, you do it inside of parentheses. So notice Excel is telling me, okay, you have the square root function. You've opened your parentheses. Now I'm expecting a number. So in fact, it's expecting a number or a cell reference. So I'm going to put in a perfect square. I'm going to ask it to calculate the square root of 25. I close my parentheses. When I hit enter, Excel is going to do this calculation. And here now in cell C5, it has put 5, which is the answer to the square root of 25. So Excel is like a calculator, but it has some things that are different. Like it uses functions like SQRT in order to calculate square roots. But let me just show you before we leave a little taste of how great Excel is. Because, for example, I could have the number 25 here, right? And this number is in cell D4. And now I want to calculate the square root of 25. So in this cell, I can put equal sign SQRT. Notice I used lowercase letters. It does not matter. Excel does not care. For function names, does not matter whether they're capitalized or not. Open parentheses, and instead of typing 25, I'm going to actually click on cell D4 that has the 25 in it. And notice what happened here. Now we have the function square root, SQRT, open parentheses, and it says D4. That's going to apply the square root function to the number present in cell D4. So I close the parentheses, I hit enter, and I get the answer 5. Why is that cool? That's cool because now I can change the input in this cell and the spreadsheet will automatically recalculate the answer. So if I wanted the square root of 18, I can type 18 into cell D4, hit enter, and cell D5 shows me the square root of what was in cell D4. So Excel can be extremely helpful for calculations, and building cell references into calculations makes them even more useful.